and then they're taken upstairs. They're taken upstairs. Upstairs is like some kind of like table. And I'm thinking like as I'm watching this, what the heck is going on? Well, eventually whatever it was that was in the drink, took them over, and they basically pretty much consummate the marriage in front of all these like strangers. And eventually Mel ends up snapping out of it because she looks off into the distance during the act and sees what looks to be like one of the demons that, were trying to attack them. And so when she snaps out of it, she wakes up Yul, he snaps out of it, and eventually they're basically knocked out or whatever. When they wake up, they're in the forest, tied to a bamboo tree, and pretty much out there to be sacrificed is what it is. So the couple are talking amongst each other, trying to figure out a way out, and Yul's like, we're not gonna make it, we're gonna die. He's like, I'm so sorry I brought you here. I apologize. It's just like, no, we're gonna get out of here. We have to make it. We can do it. I just gotta loosen my hands. And he's like, tells her to shh. He's like, quiet. And she's like, what? He's like, shh. They're literally surrounded by like, I don't know how many of them, 10, 15, 20 on each. They're surrounded on each side. And he says, there's only one thing to do. And she's like, what? Well, earlier, back at the barn, before they all split off, the guy that they saved, one of the reasons why he attacked Yul was because he's telling them, like, if you sacrifice yourself, then they'll let her live, they'll let us live. Don't you want to do that? Isn't that the modest thing to do? Obviously, that didn't happen, but this time Yul was like, it's the only way. He was like, I don't want you to die either. So he basically like starts making a bunch of noise, and they attack him, and then eventually take him away. And she goes back to the house where they were invited in, and sees where their clothes were. They're all folded up nice and neat. And so she looks at his items, and she's just sitting there. And then hears a voice from upstairs basically saying like, he did the right thing, sacrificing himself for you. It's the doggone taxi driver, Ping. And she's like, she looks up at him, she's like, what? Runs upstairs and just starts beating the crap out of him. She's like, why did you let that happen? I can't believe you. He's like, please stop, I'm sorry. He's like, it was the only way. Justifying basically sacrificing both of them at the time when he split off and ran to the so-called bathroom. And so eventually he ends up telling her that this is something that the people of the village have been doing for a very long time. They used to sacrifice their own people, to please the demons or whatever, so that way most of them could live. And after a while, when tourists started coming to the country a lot more, they got it in their head that, hey, maybe if we just sacrifice these strangers or whatever, they'll leave us alone. And that's how they started doing that. So Ping and the village folks have been doing this for a long time. So eventually she's like, I can't believe it. She's like, I know but it was the only way. Well, she's like, I gotta go find him. Where is it? He's like, what? You can't go there. He's like, they'll kill you. She's like, where are they keeping him? He's not dead yet. I know he's not. And he tells her, just go back the way that just follow the tracks is what he said. Just follow the tracks. You'll find him. So she goes off to go find him. And she goes off to find her husband. That's what she goes off to find her man. And he's in a cave. And when I say he's in a cave, deep in a cave. She goes back to find him. And it's so dark in there. And all she had was her phone. And it was like a little flip phone, I think is what it was. But anyway, she uses the light on the phone to navigate her way through. And the deeper she goes in, she ends up falling into water. And then she finds herself amongst these demons. They're sleeping is what it appears to be. They're sleeping. And so she keeps going further and further, and eventually she finds Yule, and he's like laid out on this little rock platform, and she's like trying to get him to come on. She's like, "Come on, we gotta get out of here." He's like, "I can't." He's like, "I lost too much blood." Well, he definitely lost a lot because he looks like one of them. You know, he looks like one of them. He's all white, pasty, and everything, but he definitely had been wounded. He, you know, pretty much was bleeding out, and so he tells Mel, he's like, "You got to get out of here." He's like, "Because they're gonna kill you." And she's like, "No, we can't. We can make it out. We can make it out." He's like, "No, we can't." And he's like, "And I can't go with you." He was like, "Because I'm gonna die," you know. And he doesn't want her to leave. He wants her. He basically tells her, "You need to go, and you need to go now." He's like, she's like, "But they're sleeping." He's like, "They're not sleeping. They're in my head." He said, "Eventually, I'm gonna turn into one of them." So he's like, "I'm gonna hold off as long as I can, but you need to get out of here." So she gives him a kiss and makes her way back. And it's a long way back. And eventually Yule ends up dying from his wounds. And as soon as she's starting to get further and further down, she starts hearing this like noise. It's like, it sounds like something's coming. And sure enough, they done woke up and they're after her. And she starts screaming and running down the little cave tunnel. And eventually she gets close to the entrance. Well, Ping shows up. And he decides to sacrifice himself. And he's like, "Go, just get out of here, run." And so he starts making all this noise, and they attack him and, you know, kill him. Once he's dead, you know, she makes it outside, and as she gets outside, the moon's starting to come down, and you know, they're getting closer to her, and eventually they actually do end up getting a hold of her and grabbing her, and I'm thinking like, oh, it's over. Well, before they can do any damage, the moon is completely gone, and the sun starts to come up, and then they just like turn to dust, and then just basically just evaporate and disappear. So after a while, she wakes up and looks off to where they were, and she sees Yule in the background, and he's just standing there looking at her and just watching her. And then eventually he ends up turning to dust as well, and he evaporates too. And that's pretty much how the movie ends. She ends up getting up and heading back to the road to try to get back to town. So that's how the movie ended. Overall, I thought it was good. I did like the plot. It was pretty simple, straightforward. And, you know, I thought it was good, a good, nice little movie. I thought it was a good one, at least for this first relaunch, anyway, of this channel. So, but trying to go ahead and get to the main thing is would I survive? Would I survive the seventh moon? And, yeah, hell yeah, I'd survive. Because you know why? I wouldn't even go over there in the first place without no honeymoon. I won't go over to China for no honeymoon. Come on, guys. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys wouldn't either. But let's just say if I was over there, me and my wife were over in China, you know, would we survive? Would I survive? And yes, I think it is possible. It's possible. So once the car obviously, you know, was disabled and run off the road, well, you had to find somewhere to hide. And so, one, I would not have saved that person in the middle of the road because you saw how that ended. I would not have saved him, but let's say we did, so we found a barn. But the barn, I'm thinking, is probably would have been the best place to hide out. So, because these things seem to be attracted to noise, and so if you're quiet, they ain't gonna find you. So, knowing that they were in the barn, were doing fine and hidden, they didn't even have to go looking for him. Really, they just stayed there and waited it out. And that's what I would have done. We'd have waited it out because you don't know what's out there. And that was one of the things they kept doing in the movie was like, oh, let's go here. We need to go here. I'm thinking like, you need to find somewhere and hunker down because the people in the village weren't letting you in their place. They were like, no, you need to get out of here. We're not opening the door for you at all. So I would have done that. Hid in the barn, found a nice secure spot and stayed in there until the daylight, you know. But by the time I found that other little hiding spot, it was basically too late because the speakers or whatever end up speaking to him, I guess, and, you know, put him in a trance, and he ends up following the voice, and that pretty much everything after that would just went downhill. So the barn would have hid out in the barn, and we would have made it. We'd have survived to the next day, and then we would have came back to the States. That's what would have happened. So, but yeah, hope you guys liked the video, and I do have another one coming up. So hopefully I'll try to send it out a little bit sooner than this one. I know this one took a little bit longer, but I think what I'm gonna start doing too for you guys is I'll give you like a little preview, what it's gonna be about, and then the next video will be actually my critique, my review, would I make it, would I survive, all that good stuff. So until the next video, don't forget, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for still following me, and I hope to hear from you guys in the next one after I'll let you know what I survived. So have a good day, have a good blessed day, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.